With camp a little more than 2 weeks away by a day, let's start these camp videos. What is up, Fin fans? Yes, if you can tell by the title, I'm going to be talking about players that you should be looking for or paying close attention to, whether it's for good or for bad, in training camp starting 2 weeks tomorrow. 27th is when training camp starts. So before we jump into that, I got to shout out some of my fellow members, Patreons. Let's start with Patreon. Chris Johnson, thank you so much, bud, for joining the Patreon. And I have two new members. Last night, Dub Tech joined with the live stream with me and Reason. And also Big John Stud also joined about 2 days ago. Thank you guys so much for joining the membership. Also, shout out to Alton for getting himself some DDW merch. I'll pop up the pictures of him with his merch. One of them, he's holding his grandkids. It's a very good picture. If you guys want to grab yourself some DDW merch, you could see it linked below. And real quick, you know what? I like Backroom Collections, right? They got some great artwork. They came out with some new stuff. Now, I'll pop up one image. It's this new backlit 3D style image. Now, it is of Tua, but you can get any player, any team, any sport. They look amazing. I'm going to get myself one. I'm thinking getting Merino this style, putting it somewhere behind me. But be sure to go over, check them out. Their website is linked in the description. Use the promo code DDW, get yourself 10% off. Get yourself some good artwork. They also have the little blocks that you can do. They got a ton of great stuff, so go over there. Use promo code DDW, get yourself 10% off. So like I said, this video, training camp starts in about 2 weeks. Now, I have a list of players. Obviously, if you guys think of any that I didn't touch upon, comment them below. But these are players that keep an eye on, whether for good or for bad, right? Keep an eye on because we need them to do better. Keep an eye on because we want them to continue to do the success that they are doing. So stop beating around the bush, Doug, and go down your list. So number one on my list, and again, no specific order. It's the first name I thought of. Robert Foster. Keep an eye on him when it comes to training camp. He had a very good OTA and mini camp to the point where people started talking about him. People started talking about him potentially, making the team, his speed, his connection with Tua. They played briefly in Alabama. Keep an eye on Robert Foster. This offense seems to be predicated a lot on the speed packages, a lot of, speed, slants, go routes, all these, motions, all that stuff. So keep an eye on Robert Foster. Now, that's for a good reason, right? We're hearing really good things about him. We want to, potentially make the team because of his style, his size, his speed, all that good stuff. The next guy I'm going to say keep an eye on for not good things, right? That's Jakeem Grant. Now, Jakeem Grant, unfortunately, it's not only him. There's Kirk Merritt. There's all these different receivers that we brought in that are on this team that have an uphill battle because of the amount of talent that we have on this team at wide receiver. From Will Fuller to Devontae Parker to Albert Wilson to Robert Foster to Waddle to, we have these really good talent, even Preston Williams, talented wide receivers. Jakeem Grant has, my biggest knock on Jakeem Grant is he's never played a full season. Now, that could be because of his size and, he's a small wide receiver. He's more of a kick returner. He did do some really good things in the passing game sporadically. He wasn't a consistent wide receiver. So keep an eye on him. If he keeps struggling, if he drops balls, and if he has a hard time in training camp, he might not make the team. And that's what I mean by keep an eye on him, because we'll see how that all pans out. Another guy, and this is a lot of wide receivers in the beginning of this one. Another guy to keep an eye on, and this is a positive. I'm going to go back and forth with the positive and negative. Albert Wilson. Albert Wilson, before he had his hip injury, was super, super dynamic for the Dolphins. He single-handedly won us that Bears game. A lot of people like to give it to Brock Osweiler. No, Brock Osweiler threw 5-yard passes to Albert Wilson, who took it to the rest of the field. He also helped us drastically beat the Raiders. He was really, really good and dynamic. If he never had that hip injury, I think he would have had a 1,000-yard receiving year that year. That being said, opted out last year, had that hip injury. 2019, he started off slow. At the end of the year, started coming back. But I'm hearing very good things about him in training camp. Not training camp, but OTAs and mini camp. Can that transfer over to training camp? Like I said, a ton of times when people have talked about, well, what do you think about Albert Wilson? Will he make the team? Will he not make the team? I think his play style, his route running, the way he plays the wide receiver role is a perfect fit for Tua. So when a lot of people ask me, hey, do you see him making the team? I do, because pairing him with Waddle and putting them in the slot, even though there are rumors that he has been working in the boundary, is going to really make this offense and Tua's job much easier. So keep an eye out for Albert Wilson. Does he continue to play at that high level in training camp, or was it just an OTA's minicamp thing where there's no contact, no pads, none of that stuff? Another name to keep an eye on, and for multiple reasons, Noah Igbenogany. Now, I call him Noah Iggy because I write it down Iggy because sometimes I forget how to spell his name. But Noah Igbenogany. I'm another guy that we're hearing really good things about. Can he continue that trend of playing really good, or is it just because it was OTAs and minicamp? But we're hearing good things from Noah. Can he continue that progress, that uphill progress? So keep an eye on him. Another guy to keep an eye on in that secondary is Javon Holland. You'll notice a lot of the guys I'm telling you to keep an eye on are either guys that need to make the team, like Jakeem Grant, or guys like that we're hearing fantastic things from so far. Javon Holland is another guy. I love the pick, first safety taken in the draft, 36th overall pick. He showed fantastic play in Oregon, and I'm hearing fantastic things, and I'm hearing that I plan to use him in so many different roles. So keep an eye on it. Not only for his play style, not only for what he can do, but where is he going to line up? That's another thing you got to keep an eye on with some of these players, especially Albert Wilson. Is he going to line up a lot on the outside? Keep an eye out for those things. Now, this next player or players I'm keeping an eye on. And this could be for the positive or the negative, because when it comes to OTAs, you don't really know about this group. The offensive line. Now, you don't get a good understanding of the offensive line until pads come on. Because when it came to minicamp, when it came to OTAs, the offensive line, the defensive line, the running backs, and the linebackers. I don't know why I did 4 this way, but I did 4 this way instead of 4 this way. Those are positions you don't get a good idea of how they're doing, whether good or bad, until the pads come on. So we don't really know how the offensive line is gelling, mending together, who's starting where. That's another thing to keep an eye on. Is Jesse Davis going to be the left guard, or is he going to be a backup? There's the rumors out there that Barry Jackson talked about that he's the front runner for left guard, and Solomon McKinley is competing. Could that be a little fire into Solomon McKinley's butt to lose weight? Who's the the right tackle? Is it Eichenberg? We all heard that Robert Hunt is moving to right guard. Who's the starting center? Is it Skura? Is it Dieter? Who's going to be that player? The offensive line is something that I think all of us are going to be keeping a very close eye on for the good and the bad. Are they going to get beat by this defensive line, which could be a good thing, because this defensive line, with all the additions we have, is good. And if they don't get beat, and if the offensive line struggles to get any type of pressure, maybe all of a sudden they make that phone call to Melvin Ingram. That's another thing, when it comes to training camp, you'll start to see these signings happen, because you'll start to notice where you lack in certain positions. Because now that the pads come on, now that it's more physical, you'll see, all right, we're struggling here, we're struggling there, we need some help here. Let's bring in some players. I got two more that we should keep an eye on. Obviously, this next one is a very obvious one, and I think the whole world is going to keep an eye on this one just because of the narrative behind this guy, and it's Tua. We're all going to be looking at Tua. We're all going to be keeping our eye on Tua. Does he throw another 5 interceptions? Does he throw another 4, however many touchdowns he threw? Does he play good? Does he play bad? If you expect Tua to come into training camp and have a full training camp of playing fantastic every single day, you're a little delusional. And I'm sorry to use that word, but you're a little delusional. Quarterbacks have bad days. I can list off a ton of quarterbacks that have bad days. It's how many bad days. How frequently are these bad days? And that's what we're going to keep an eye on. If he has a stint of 3 or 4 bad days, that's a problem. Because this isn't mini camp. This isn't OTAs anymore. This is training camp. This is where it matters. I understand it's practice. But training camp's a little bit different than OTAs and mini camp. And if he strings together multiple bad days, that's a problem. But if he has like 3 or 4 good days, and then all of a sudden he has a bad day. Then he has 2 good days, and then he's an okay day. Then he has more. That's what training camp's for. To have those bad days, to push yourself, to try to do things that you've never done before and learn from it. Especially when it comes to the joint practices. That's the other thing we got to keep an eye on. And I'm very excited to look at and well, not watch, because I'm not going to be at either of them. But the joint practices. Joint practices are incredibly important because you're playing people that aren't used to your cadences, your motions, how you play, because you're constantly going against the same offense and the same defense. You start to pick up on things, and then all of a sudden the offense has really good days and the defense struggles, and vice versa, because they pick up on things. When you're playing teams who don't know these things, then you get a real good understanding of what you have as a team, and then you get to see what potentially we have going into the season. And my last thing that I'm going to talk about, keep an eye on, it's Xavier Howard. Is he going to be there? Is he not going to be there? Do they give him a contract extension? Do they not give him a contract extension? Does he get traded? What happens with the Xavier Howard situation? That and 2, I think, are probably the biggest ones that everyone's going to keep an eye on. How's Tua doing? Is Tua doing well? And where is Xavier Howard? But that is it's kind of a short list. But that's my list of players that I'm keeping an eye on when it comes to training camp. Comment below. I've missed some. I could probably think of 1 or 2 off the top of my head that I've missed. But comment below. Who are players, or what positions are you specifically looking at? Which player are you like, for good or for bad? Preston Williams, that's a name you could throw out there. Is he healthy? How is he doing? Because last year in training camp, he was beaten up on Byron Jones. All of a sudden, he gets injured. He disappears. Comment below. Give me some names of guys that you are keeping an eye on, or positions that you're keeping an eye on. And I'm going to get to comment of the day. Now, this comment comes from Stephen Decree. I hope I said your name right. And he says, comment of the day, who's your favorite Dolphin low round draft picks? Example, Mark Clayton, 8th round, Jeff Ross, 9th round. I got 2. Now, I consider this round a low. You might say that's not necessarily a low. But I'm going to say Zach Thomas and Rashad Jones, 5th rounders. Do you consider that a low draft? Low, like, you might say, no, Doug, low is 6 or 7. But for me, in my time, there was only 7 rounds. And I'm going with Zach Thomas and Rashad Jones. Not only because of how good they are, but we got them in the 5th round. These players, if you knew what you knew, and we all do that. We all go back and look at draft picks. And if we knew what we knew, Tyreek Hill would have been a 1st rounder and not when he was taken. Same thing with these guys. Rashad Jones and Zach Thomas would not have been 5th rounders. At minimum, 2nd rounders. But they definitely would have been 1st rounders. So for me, my late favorites are Zach Thomas and Rashad Jones. But I think next year for the draft, I'm going to do best late round draft picks and maybe even best undrafted draft picks that we got. And a lot of people are going to say Cameron Wake. He wasn't drafted by the Dolphins. He wasn't an undrafted pick by the Dolphins. Cameron Wake we got from the Canadian Football League. He was actually undrafted to the Giants, and the Giants brought him in camp, and they released him. He went to Canada, is what I was going to say because I'm dumb. Canada. Killed it up there, and Dolphins signed him and brought him in. So, no, Zach Cameron Wake was not drafted to the Dolphins. But thank you, Steven, for the comment. Again, Thomas, who's your favorite late round draft pick? Comment below. I'm very interested to read this because Mark Clayton and Jeff Ross are ridiculously good. Even Jake Scott was a late round draft pick. Hall of Famer. MVP, Super Bowl MVP. I'm just smacking things around on my desk. But that is the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. It does help with the algorithm. The more I'm learning how YouTube works, that if you do give thumbs ups to the videos, it does help. Regardless if they're thumbs ups or thumbs down. Sometimes I get thumbs downs before the video even starts. It does help. Also subscribe if you haven't. Like I said, training camp starts on the 27th. I will be giving you training camp videos. I'm going to do a breakdown of how they're going to work probably the Monday before training camp. I'll let you guys know how the training camp videos are going to work and how I structure them if you're new to the channel. So hit that subscribe button. Check out Patch Vibes. I'm going to shout out my guys at Patch Vibes. They have fantastic stuff. They have new t-shirts out constantly, stickers, patches, all that great stuff. Use the promo code DDW, get yourself 20% off. And Miami Sports Music. It's a big group of Dolphin YouTubers, Dolphin podcasters. We're all together. Steven, Solo D, made this great community. They're not only going to try to do football, they're trying to bring in the Marlins, the Heat, doing all Miami sports music. Solo D. So go over, check them out, hit the subscribe button. Other than that, guys, I'll see you Wednesday with the next video, unless news breaks. You guys know if news breaks, I'll try to give it to you. But the next video will be on Wednesday. I'm going to do, like I said, now we're in the theme of training camp themed videos, unless I can think of other videos, unless you want me to talk about other videos, reaction videos, all that stuff. Comment them below. But other than that, I'll see you Wednesday. Like usual, stay classy. Fins up.